they're going to do it's a demonstration in turning inside out ornaments. But I'm not going to do any turning because there's so many steps involved that it's just no time for turning. We start out with 4 pieces of whatever kind of wood, parallel, sides parallel and perpendicular to each other. We're going to glue these 4 pieces together. We're going to spot just 1 drop of glue at each end. Now we're going to do that on 1 piece. We glue the 2 pieces together. Then we're going to do it on the other 2 pieces, 1 drop at each end. You don't put it on 2 pieces. They're opposite sides. You put it on just 1 side. After you got it glued together, you got to clamp it. How about that? Now, if you got a vise, it works real nice. You put the 4 pieces in the vise, and that holds it one way, and you can clamp it the other way, and take it out with 4 clamps on. It's a little wild looking here, but that's the way I do it. Now, there's lots of methods to do these things, I'm sure. This is one way that I do it. After you got the 4 pieces glued together, the glue has to dry. And then after it dries, you have to trim the ends off. Both ends have to be trimmed off so that they're even. That's done because you have to spot right in the center of the 4 ornaments. I do it with an awl just to get it just a little indentation so you can drill the center with a center drill. It's a number 2 center drill I use. I spot it, the mark that I made with the awl, I spot it with a center drill just to make a dimple in it. If it's not located center, the center drill is strong enough to move it. That's why I don't use a drill. The center drill, you can move that mark to get it centered right in the joint. So after you got it all centered up, let me get organized here. Okay, I'll take this off here. I think I can set it down on the floor, on the chair here. All right, we got to say these lined up here. We're going to put the piece in. We're going to put the piece in the center, in between centers, but we want to make sure we don't have the drive center lined up in the groove, the glue joint. We don't want to pop it apart. It's just temporarily glued. We bring up the live center on the other end, and you put a little pressure on it. After you put some pressure on it, I wrap it with tape at each end. I found out I don't need the full width of this tape, so I just use part of it. I do it on the lathe because you can make it good and tight. Draw it tight. Rotate it, draw it tight. Draw it tight.
Is that fiber reinforced tape, Sherman?
Yeah, it's fiberglass reinforced tape, yes.
Sherman, could you use a step center on the headstock instead of a 4-point center?
No, you got to drive it. We're going to turn the...
No, it'll drive it.
A dead center? Oh, yeah, okay.
Step center.
Yeah, you could do that, yeah. Sure. Of course, after we get these things glued together here and tape on them, just go around till you get all the way around it, cut it off. Now, you can apply the pressure to turn it. You can really crank it down pretty good, and you got it ready to turn. Now I got pieces already turned, so I don't need to turn that. Not the same piece, but it's a piece that's already turned. So we're going to take it back out now. got a piece that's turned. To whatever shape. The shape is, it's difficult to explain that it's something that you're going to do. After you do one or two, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's whatever you want to turn it. It's not anything, any rule or regulations you have to follow, except the center area needs to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 thousandths to 850 or 750 to 850. I use. If you want to make it thinner than that, you have to understand when you get down to finishing this thing, you're going to have an area that's getting thin when you turn it. So you don't want to leave it too thick on the end here or in the center. And then if you want to, when you're turning the ends, this is the inside of your ornament. When you turn the inside, you have to remember if you want to mount a tree in it or you want to mount a snowman in the center, you have to turn and measure your distance from the point to the surface. When that's turned around, you'll have a square in the center there that you can put your tree right in it. Then, after you get this all turned and sanded, sand it to whatever finish you desire. Now, I have a few things here that I want to suggest. I have veneer, heavy veneer, and I put Velcro glued onto the veneer, and then I just put hook and loop sandpaper on that Velcro. Works great for cutting in the radiuses. I usually just a plain old piece of sandpaper for the inside part here, but when you want to get on these radiuses, you end up rounding off your corners real bad. So this you can do it. You can either do it manually or you can do it while spinning. I made up. I got all kinds of pieces I made up here. I have a wide one. I have one made to go on the inside curve the other way. That was made to do a piece of one Dave Swagger did. It's the suspended bowl thing. Then that was a real project. All right, now after you got all this turned and some finish on it, put a finish on it. That's your inside of your piece. It's going to be finished. I just used a white dye on it for that. Then you got the number the ends of your different pieces. That'll come in handy now when we take this apart and we'll get ready to put it back together. We'll take the tape off of it. And we're going to drive a wood chisel right in the joint. We've got to be real careful and make sure you get it in the joint, and it'll pop right open. That's because you only put a slight amount of glue on it. If you put a little excess glue on it, it's going to be a lot harder to get apart. Plus, you'll have part of your wood coming off on the other side, and then you have to run it on the sander to get that cleaned off. Now we turn each piece around 180 degrees. You put them back together, and make sure your numbers are lined up on the inside. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when you get ready to glue that, you cover the full surface of each piece, both sides. Cover the full surface, clamp it or hold together, turn it and glue the full surface again. Both surfaces glued. You have to clamp it together again. This is critical. Once you get all those clamped together, a vise is the best thing to have. See, there's a little bit of glue or wood that held onto the surface here, and it's come off of this side. The only reason you need to remove that is when you clamp it together next time, that will help to put pressure at the wrong place. You want to clamp it right in the center. If you have a lot of glue or wood held on there, it'll make it more pressure on one side. So you get them glued together, clamped, and you're ready to turn the outside. No, you're not ready. You got to glue. You got to find the center again. This time it's a little more critical than it was the first time, but the same procedure you have to follow by marking it with an awl, center drill, get it centered. I mean, it really has to be close. And then you turn the outside. Yeah, we're going to turn the outside to your desired. I try to follow the inside. I follow the inside surface on the outside. Try to make all the surfaces thin. That way you get a light ornament that'll hang on a tree. After you turn it, sand it, and here's where the sanding just comes in nice. You can get in those little grooves or the edge of that sandpaper and get that sanded real good. It's likewise on that surface there. After you have it turned to your desired shape, you have to part off or turn one end larger than the other one. One end for the eye screw, the other end for a finial. Finial here somewhere. Where's the finial? This is something I have also that I found that works real nice for these ornaments. It's a tape with grid on it. I got this at Woodcraft, and it works real good if you hold it while it's spinning in the lathe. You have to really hold it tight so that it doesn't wear off the edges of the ornament. And also, when you're turning this ornament on the outside, I found that a scraper really does not work very good for me because it would chip off the edges on the back side as it turns. Now, maybe I'm mistaken on that, but I had bad luck with trying to use a scraper. Now, after you got it turned, you're going to part off or part into the smaller diameter on one end, and I always make sure I have the parting tool set at a slight angle, so I have a concave surface on each end, on both ends. This end's for the eye screw. This is for the finial. Then I manually cut off or take it out the lathe, manually cut off this excess material on each end. Then you have material left on each end. I use a Dremel tool with a drum sander. This is a 1/2 inch or 1/4 inch drum sander. Rather fine finish on it, or grit on the drum sander so you don't take off too much. After you get it cut off, the drum sander, you have to hold it at an angle so you get a concave surface again on this finial end. But I found it works good for me.
So Sherman,
Yes.
you said you don't like using a scraper to do the outside. Are you using just a bowl gouge or a spindle gouge, or what do you cut the outside with?
I cut the outside with a bowl gouge.
With a bowl gouge, okay.
A small one, with a 3/8 inch. Sometimes I use a smaller one too, also.
Now the inside, I noticed that one's red. Are you using dyes or are you using paints?
I'm using dye.
Dyes?
Yeah. No, I just started doing dye. It's something new that I keep trying to do different things. And this is actually the first one I've dyed like this. I had a little experience with dyeing when I made things like this. I had a commission job to make 4 of these. Only thing just a little bit smaller than this. Now oak, white oak. This is a sample that I made just to get a little bit of practice, because the pieces I made the originals out of was a special tree from Naval Academy in Annapolis. So I used the navy colors, the blue outside and the gold on the inside. You know, I'm off the subject. I used a little dye on this also. It's maple, and I was doing a little project that I was trying to do. It didn't turn out too good, so I just turned the end and put a finial on it and painted the finial gold. And it's a nice ornament. It's a little heavy. This makes it a little heavy, but it's a large ornament. Yeah, we're at the turning point here of this ornament. We got it all cut off and shaped. Now we're going to drill a hole. We got to drill a hole in the end of it for a eye screw, and you may want to put an ornament or a ball on the inside of it. Just hang a ball inside, like so. The ball is hanging from the string that we're going to put through to hold the ball. All right, now we got to get the lathe set up here. Show how to drill a hole. This is a really small hole, because it's a really small eye screw. 39 thousandths drill. Crank it right up. Those drills can run fast. Line up the hole with the mark. You mark it with an awl, also to get find the center. And you line the end up And your other dead end, your other center gets you straight in line with it. You got to work it in and out to get your whole all the way through. That gives you a good way to get it straight through without going crooked in the hole going crooked. All right, now they got a hole drilled in it, and I use these little eye screws that I got off the internet. They come in gold, silver, and metal, or steel colored. These little dudes are really hard to pull with. My fingers are just a little bit lonely. And you can put, I usually put the screw in a little vise and turn the ornaments. You can also turn the ornaments this way. And you can screw that in and you're ready to go with hanging it up. Got to put a finial on it. Now this is a little bit tricky. Here again, a little bit of glue. Now this glue, you can't have too much glue. You don't want to seep out over the edges. Uh-oh, the glue set up a little bit. Yep. Now my glue set up a little bit. I'll have to open the glue up. Keep a little safety pin here. These little containers work real nice. For a small amount of glue, that's a really great thing to have. All right, now you got a little, now just enough you think it's going to cover the surface. Now you move it around, get it on the full surface. And line it up real good and press it on. It'll stay there. I say it's because both ends are cup shaped and concave and creates a suction. But it stays on there. I don't want to bump it or hit it and knock it off, but it'll stay on there. So if I can keep from knocking it off, we'll go put this thing through and take the eye screw out because we're going to do something else. If you want to mount a ball in the center, I use a little bit of fishing line. You can use cord, you can use sewing cord, and a needle. I tie a knot in one end, just a loose knot, not just enough to make the line a little bit larger. And just feed it through there. Pull it through. Pull your needle out the way. Tie your ornament on. Now, I'm not going to try to tie that ornament on there because my hands are too nervous. So you tie the ornament on, pull this cord up, so you got your ornament in the location you want it, height-wise. Hold it over. and put your eye screw in. You get one. I usually have these laying out there, but you've got the idea. Got the general idea. You try to screw in around the cord. And then cut the excess off the outside, and you got your ornament hanging on the inside. And still got the video glued on there. It's tight. Now you can like we started out, you can mount a snowman on the inside. Leave that square opening there so it'll have a place to sit on it and glue. You can make them plain with nothing on the inside. You can put a Christmas tree on the inside. Sure you make enough flat surface there to let the tree. You don't make you want to have a radius down in there so far that your tree won't go down. Actually, the tree could have had a little longer trunk and set out above the surface there a little bit.
So you're turning your own trees and your own snowmen?
Yes. So just a little green paint on them and a little snow dabbed on of white paint. And my wife does the beautiful job of putting a little feature on the snowman.
Hmm.
I think we just about got it covered.